28th.
Yeah, I was just asking Nick.
How many miles was it?
11 and a half.
Basically from 175 to Lit.
I was at the Lit City Council meeting and they were under the assumption it was gonna take a couple of years. He said, I thought Nick said April to October, November, somewhere, but I said November.
Yeah.
I wanted to say.
Yeah, and I mean, if it, have a bad early winter, it could.
Yeah.
2 years.
It's gonna be a late spring or
Right.
whatever, because that's a pretty big project. Pretty much take care of that community. They got a new road going south, they got a new road going east and west.
The north
Only
road,
little section is between,
yeah, they can maybe fiscal year 28 for that one.
that was,
Budget works out.
that's not too,
2 miles, 2.5 miles.
that's
Up
not
to
that
New
long,
Twenty.
is
About
it?
2 miles.
Does that need to be taken out too?
I'm debating whether we take it all out or in town for sure, it'll be taken out, reconstructed. I'm debating whether we overlay it outside of town or just reconstruct it all. I don't know.
Sock Rail Trail. How many days are you gonna have for completion? I got asked last night.
I think it's, let's see for sure. My head is 35.
35 days.
Yeah, it's April, like starting April 1 to July 4,
I
essentially.
was gonna say, I thought it was April to right at the beginning of July,
Okay, so it'd be
somewhere.
like 60.
120 calendar days, but.
Maybe 80 days. I'll get back to you.
I'm just, this guy wanted it done in 30 days, and I said, that's not gonna happen. But if you can get anybody to bid it for 30 days, they're gonna be way high.
Yeah.
They gotta extend it out so you get some good bids on it. And the weather in April could be, you never know. You could get just talk, snow and rain and.
Yeah, it's closer to 60 or 70 days,
Working days, right?
working days.
Change the calendar. What's the second?
Third.
Third. Thanks, Dale. We will call the December 3rd meeting supervisors to order.
I'll make a motion to approve minutes from previous meeting.
I'll second it.
Been a motion and second to approve minutes from the previous meeting. Any comments or questions on that at all after reading it? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
I have a drainage work order that came in, yesterday morning after this has been sent out. They've already got somebody out there looking at it, so they need it approved before next week, so. We need to add proposed tile repair for DD 28.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
There's been a motion and second to amend the agenda to add the DD 28
Tile.
tile repair. Yeah.
approve the amended agenda.
I'll second that.
Been a motion second to approve the amended agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign.
I'll give you that to start with then.
I'll make a motion to accept the bid for the tower repair on DD 28 for $700.
I'll second it.
Been a motion and a second to approve the tile repair on DD 28 for $700. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carried.
And we've got, claims, there's two sets of them that were run, there was a special, we would do a special packet for an insurance payment that was due before our next board meeting, so you'll find there's two separate packets there.
I looked at them, you or Jim sent them out, I looked at them.
Yep.
I'll move we approve these two, claims. One for $118,888.64. And the other one for $124,544.58.
I'll second that.
And motion is second to approve the two separate claims, one for $118,880.64 and the other one for $124,544.58. Any
Ken said he'd be here right at 10:15 for that elevator thing.
comments or questions? See anything on there that you want to look at? I didn't either. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign, motion carried. There's that.
Equipment operator position, we'll start interviewing next week for that. We got 19 applicants in total. So that was-
Really?
Yeah, encouraging.
No.
Narrowed it down to about 4 or 5 that will interview. So start those next week. Let you know how that goes. Bid letting next week, 12, December 12th. Next Thursday, bid letting for E 0802, it's a 16 by 6 box culvert. Fox Ave, between 170th and 180th Street. So, once we get those results, I'll bring those in. Sounds like we did get the pothole fix, or 143, and then did like talk to you about projecting. Other than that, I got engineers conference the rest of this week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday in the morning, so I'll be there for that the rest of this week, and I'll brief update on that when I get back. So, that's about it. Questions on anything from the board this week?
I got one on section 30, Richland Township, West Odebo there. There's a dirt road. And I'm assuming the farmer took some trees out. I don't think the county was doing this. But piled them up, well, all the small branches and all that is on the road. I think they need to take a maintainer out there to scrape it off the dirt road. Had a complaint about it anyway. I don't know, I'm sure the county's not doing that.
So,
Yeah. It's either Jim Mueller or Vince Liddell owns the land, but I'm sure they're doing that to farm an extra eighth of an acre or something.
Okay.
That's
take care of it.
all I got.
Obviously, we want to move snow, yesterday. So,
I don't even know anymore.
That's right. Everyone went well, nice.
Nice one to
Nice
start
one to
with.
start.
Has the DOT done anything about changing their budget dates to coincide with the,
No,
okay, so we're still
yeah, the DOT,
budget
Budget
is due
gets
before the
approved,
county does,
right.
okay.
yeah, the county approves, and if there's any changes, they're gonna go back and.
Okay.
DOT.
Just curious.
Well, they haven't changed that. Yep. Alrighty,
Thank you.
thanks.
Thanks, Nick.
There's the elevator stuff if you guys wanna start. I don't know if that was sent to you guys or not. One thing I'll just kinda put in front of you, we don't have it yet at this point, but on that EMS, since it did pass, I've asked them to work on putting together an ordinance for us that we have to do, and then that'll have to go to the Department of Revenue for that income surtax part of it, and then that'll all be in place. So.
Do we have money left in our,
Maintenance fund.
to cover this, do you know?
I don't know what's in it. I didn't know where it was coming from, so I can check with, Kristen and find out. Just building maintenance or.
Yeah. I'm just curious on how much is in there, if we have to find someplace else to come up with this.
back and forth
I can get you
with
copies of these if that would help.
Dave and the
If that's
company.
I can get them next
what
I
week.
just had some questions.
Or if that's
He
kind of
asked
what you're
them.
looking for. Or is that,
They provided some answers.
55.
I don't like the fact that it's 10 years.
okay,
I don't know why, but
how much does that bring up, basically? Okay,
um,
I'll figure that out.
Morning, Ben.
morning. So I wanted to make sure that there were. I had three questions. I asked Dave. Dave then asked the people at Cone, and then got answers. Looks like late last week. I wanted to make sure that the visits were regular, like they were scheduled, that they weren't. I think some issues that we've had in the past were we didn't know when the companies were coming. Not that we needed to be prepared or anything, but we were always having to kind of double check. Did they come? Sometimes they would slip in without us knowing, or at least say that they had been here. I'm not suggesting that they weren't, but I was just letting them know questions that I posed to you.
Oh, sure.
And then the response that we got from Cone. And so they indicated that they that it would be February, May, August, and November. I may, and I think I sent you an email this morning, Dave. I don't know if you got it or not, but I don't see why that can't be part of the agreement. Because if it's not, and I understand things come up and they get busy, and you know, or somebody's sick or whatever, but that those are going to be the months, and if they can't make it, they need to let us know when they're going to be coming. Otherwise, I think it's just important that there's accountability. I could tell you in another county, in Calhoun County, their contract was $500 a month. Oh, it was very expensive. Their elevator might be different, I don't know, but their person wasn't coming at all for like 6 months, you know, to a year. And reading the contract there, I don't know if that person necessarily, it could be argued that they did not need to actually be there if it wasn't people working. And just to give you an example, that's the.
And they got paid
Oh yeah.
for not even being there.
Yes. And so I think we, in Calhoun, may be on the verge of terminating that contract for cause for them not coming.
And that's the problem we had with our old contract.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of that company.
Was it
Otis, yeah.
uh,
So I don't know
So they
if
will come quarterly then?
they said they will come quarterly.
I kind of agree with you, that they should be in here.
I would like for the dates to be in here, and it's okay if something comes up. Then they would.
Okay.
I think they need to let us know when they've been here, what they did, anything that they've noticed, anything that needs to be fixed. And I'm sure that's probably just common sense, part of just the, you know, an industry standard or practice that that's what they do. But I think I want to know what we're getting from the inspection. I want to know, it'd be nice to know that they, I don't know how elevators work, but it would be nice to know if they saw something during the inspection that may not, per code, require replacement and fixing. It's at least brought to our attention that we can decide and start making decisions. Is this something that we start budgeting for, right? Things like
That
that.
would be nice to
I
know.
Yeah.
think those things I mentioned, electric eye in the doorway
Right.
is one that,
I think that's what Kristen put it on.
So again, this is a 10-year contract, which I don't know. That 10 years is a long time to be bound to anything. I don't believe we're getting a 10-year discount by being, you know, by doing 10 instead of 5. The last contract was 5.
Did they say why they wanted?
They didn't.
Really?
They didn't. They provide for, I think there's an addendum in the back of that contract that provides for what the annual increase max would be. I mean, obviously everything goes up every year in cost.
Right.
that addendum caps that. I'm sure it will be the max every year. I mean, I don't, it doesn't leave, the contract doesn't provide for any sort of rationale as to, you know, what would result in an increase. I'm guessing, I mean, like everything just costs more, but there is a cap. So at least we know what that would be. We could budget for that if we had to. My only concern with the 10-year deal is, and I don't believe I found anything in the contract that would address this, but how old is that elevator?
Pretty old. I think that it was the original elevator in this building.
So the original elevator in the building.
Parts are starting to get obsolete.
Right, so I guess I look at that, and again, I'm not an elevator guy, but is that an elevator that's going to, are we gonna have to maybe look at installing a new elevator at some point?
Do we have to bid that out then?
I'm sure we'd have to bid that out, but I mean, like,
And if
what's,
a different company gets it,
well, what's that do with this contract if there's a year where we're not, you know, I mean, I don't hope it wouldn't take a year, but it's just something, the company that would install it would be, this is a separate and distinct service that they provide.
okay. But that company that installs it wouldn't want to be the one that was providing this service?
I don't think so. I don't think those companies do that. I think,
They just install it and let somebody else?
I think so. Like, I don't think that they're in the business of it.
That would be a problem if you're stuck in a 10-year contract.
Correct. I'm just trying to think of things that would, you know, being bound, I mean, so you have to have an elevator, right, for ADA stuff. I mean, we have to have that. That's not like up for negotiation. It's not something, well, do we, you know, right? So we have to have it. We're gonna have to have it for 10 years. I guess I don't see any real harm in doing a 10-year. It just,
Did you ask them if they would do a 5-year?
I did not ask them. I don't think that was one of the things that we asked them.
I guess without me reading through all this, you read through it, is there anything in there, if that situation would arise, that, say, 3 years down the road, we have to replace the darn thing, something maybe?
I mean, I just wanna make sure that
Is
this,
that, or you still bound to this, then?
well, I think this is the elevator maintenance contract, but what if they come in and say, the elevator that you put in is not the same elevator that we agreed to,
Yeah.
right? That's a concern. I just wanna make sure that, let's just say, for the sake of argument, that somebody comes in and says, that whole thing's gotta be, whatever, replaced. I don't want that company saying, well, this is not the same elevator that we agreed to inspect for X amount each year. I don't know how that's handled. There really wasn't anything in the contract to address that.
Is there a way we could add something?
Yes, it is, and
I'd be in favor of that, because I don't want to be bound to something 3 or 4 years from now, that thing, we gotta spend X amount of thousands of dollars to replace it, but we're still bound to this.
right, and so I can see their position being, well, you know, the price that we're giving you here is for
This,
your little guy out there that doesn't have a lot of, you know, moving parts. Maybe doesn't require as great of inspection, I don't know. And that's just something to consider. I will ask that. We'll follow up on that. I think that's important. If they would agree to do a 5, if you got 10 years and you're locked in at 10 years at that rate and it can't exceed that, is it a percentage?
didn't you say it was 5% for a year?
Yeah,
I
5%.
mean, if you're under the assumption that they're going to reevaluate how much that service costs every year, and that in theory that there may be some years where it's not 5%, which I don't ever see happening, but 5% is not,
On $100 per month.
it's not, I mean, yeah,
But if you had to change elevators, you got a new elevator.
Right.
They may come back and say.
they may come back and say, this contract was
That's fine.
only for this one.
Elevator, we want a new contract
And
because
I'm sure
it's
they
gonna
want to
cost
bid on it
more.
too, yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
I don't know how they wanna handle that, but I think that it's important that that event or condition precedent in that contract be included. They need to know if they don't already. Because are they doing it now?
What's that?
Who's doing it now?
Cole.
Go. So they know the elevator. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And he does come regularly, and this new gal that's in charge, I've talked to her more in the last.
Otis was non-existent. Were you guys tracking the issues we had with them?
When I first come on the board, we were having issues.
Like, I mean, there were another, and I hate to give, these companies, because you have the example over in Collinwood where it's kind of, I'm not gonna say it just seems like there are some of these companies that are taking advantage, right, of.
Because it's hard to find.
Because it is hard to find, and so, I mean, you don't wanna, it seems like Colin's done everything we've asked. So what we did with Otis is they sent us a bill, and I thought the bill was egregious. And so I sent them, we agreed, I think I talked to you guys, we sent them a check for about a quarter of what they were asking for, which we thought was reasonable. And said by cashing this check, you agree to settle it, right? So they cashed it, they deposited it, and then they continued to send us the back, So my point in telling you that it seems they're getting somebody on the phone at Otis was it was a nightmare. It was leaving message after message. Anyway,
Weeks and months.
Cohen's been pretty good to work with. So
Especially
cap
this
at
gal that's in
5%,
charge
so
now.
just quick figuring, if you do it annually, the annual, it's 120, we pay it, the whole amount per year would be $1,200, $1,400 roughly, times the 5%, you're looking at a $75 increase. That's a max per year. I can almost guarantee it's probably going to go up to 5%.
Yeah, it's arbitrary as to if they
An
think
annual
that
estimation shall be capped at 5%.
they don't say that we'll do a formula to see whether or not the prices of pulleys and whatever gone up. So
I would like to see them include that if we do replace it, but out, we can get out of the contract and let them rebid if they're willing to.
Right.
And then,
I'll see what the options are.
3 to 5 years, because I don't know how much, nobody knows how long that thing's gonna last.
We'll find out when somebody.
Gonna get stuck on it.
Well,
or,
it's working, there's some parts of it that are obsolete, and those two things that he suggested, the maintenance guy suggested Evan to put on it, would cost $18,000, are two things that'll extend the life of the elevator. Right now, you got a little bit of a liability issue on the door closer.
yeah, the door's pretty bitey.
Yeah, because with the electric eye, it won't even hit you. Right now, the plastic part will hit you if you're too slow, like I am sometimes going in the elevator. And for an elderly person, that might not.
What other components in there are we looking at 3 months from now, 6 months from now, having to replace that are $18,000? At what point in time do you
Say,
well, I don't know how much a new elevator costs. I don't know. If we could extend the life of it and say it can pass the inspection, I think that's preferable.
Yeah, and because.
But my fear is that, and the board should consider this also, is that 3 months from now, another piece goes out that we can't, that, we have to specially order, specially make, cost a bunch of money. It's like this vacuum cleaner at home. It's like I keep replacing parts on it, and then it's like I could have bought a new one like 2 years ago, but.
This is
But when this,
$9,400 to do this? Is that what I'm reading?
That's just one part. What part is that?
There was one for, I think Kristen circled it, one for like the stops, one for the.
One was for the door stop, and the other one was for the motor for a soft start.
And then there's one that combines the two of them.
How much money do we have in?
31,600.
I don't see the first quote then, I'm just seeing.
But that's building, I mean, that's building maintenance and repair, so, and there'll be money that still gets spent. on
Yeah,
that.
yeah. But at least not right now, we wouldn't have to amend the budget to,
Well, and
Well,
I'm sure that
you
those,
Again, you don't have to do those two things yet,
right,
but, you know, if you wanna look at them at the budget of next year's budget,
Next
I
year's
could.
budget. We
Surely-
need to budget it in there. Make
Cause
sure.
like I said, it's gonna, said that they would, especially the soft start motor will help extend the life of the elevator.
when do
We
these
get it.
quotes, I assume, a lot of the quotes that we get like that won't last
Right.
until July first, till next
Yeah.
budget, so I assume that, I don't know if those prices would still be,
Yeah, they could go up
I
from
mean,
there.
would they be willing to do some of the work this year, bill us half of it this
Yeah,
year,
that's
and half
something I
of
could
it
ask her.
in next year's budget? I mean, that would be a question for them.
And-
Ben,
and-
on one of your, topics you brought up, I would really like to see that quarterly visit with
Right.
them handing us a document saying, we checked off all of the things
How are they
that we're
doing
looking
now?
for, and
What's
these
that?
are our suggestions.
Right, so quarterly visit now, are they reporting in, do they call ahead, did they
They
talk
don't
to you?
Give you an
Really
inspection
call
sheet.
ahead, but they do contact us
They do.
anytime.
I mean, do you see them here doing it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Do
and
they
so,
give you a written inspection sheet, I think is what.
No, the boiler inspector does.
But this guy doesn't.
No.
okay, so,
but he
He'll
tells
just-
you,
He'll just say everything checks out okay and.
okay,
well, maybe we can see what kind of, just an inspection sheet or.
They give an inspection report. That way a week later, something goes out.
And another thing too to consider, and I don't wanna be putting the cart before the horse, but let's just say we do have a, additional bond referendum, and we do have a new facility built, is that plans in the proposal, was that, I'm sure if there's multiple stores, we have an elevator, right? The new one, as it existed on the plans, on the jail proposal,
So
right?
you're saying,
What I'm saying is
I
that,
think it was all
Have
one
that.
level, wasn't it? I think it was all one level.
I can't remember,
I think it was all one level.
Then if we'd ever
expand.
expand to the second level.
then you
you'd
need
have
it,
to have
gotcha,
it.
okay, so,
but when they leave that,
I mean, so long as there's, it's ADA compliant, if it's one
Yeah.
level, we're fine.
well, I think it was meant to be, it could be put into two levels,
Yeah, but then you would.
but then you would have to have the elevator, so I wonder if that was in the plans or.
I must be missing a sheet, cause I don't see where there's two prices of $9,000.
I think she made one copy of everything, so my guess is somebody else probably has it.
I didn't get that sheet.
I have the total of, the mentioned above, 18,286.
Yeah, that's if you did
So-
them both together.
That's the two infrared sensors.
So on the front page,
It's
this
the
one
infrared
says door
sensor
edge
and the
and
board.
soft start.
Mm.
Soft
Well,
start
this one
motor.
just says soft start.
Two separate things.
You want me
I
to
just
have
got
her
that.
print
No,
more copies?
that's fine, no.
Well, and I'm
That's
writing
right.
all over this one.
Yeah.
so that-
I just wanna
They're
see
just
that
copies.
for just a second.
Dave, what,
Yeah, on the front she did circle which ones they were.
when they identify an issue and the board decides to fix it, do we,
You would contact this guy.
okay, and we probably better just make sure that I think that we'll be okay if we're under a certain dollar figure, but as far as like bidding it out, there's just nobody that does this work. And the people that are,
That's why if we decide to do this, we'll figure out, ask her how long it's gonna take, cause it could take a long time for somebody to get down here.
Okay.
Because it's so hard to, I mean, they do a lot of
When I
elevators.
read this, they would have the money down for these order the parts.
I mean,
I wouldn't have a problem with that.
Well,
I mean,
so we'll have
that-
to wait a year for it.
yeah, I mean, I don't know how long it's gonna take to get those parts.
That's questions that we would have to ask.
I'm sure they have done work before where they ordered the part, didn't get paid for it, and were stuck with the part in their warehouse.
I understand why
Yeah.
you do it, but if we're gonna give them $8,500 or $9,000, then I would like some guarantee if the parts are on in stock with their dealer that we get it done within a month or two. Instead of waiting until a year from now, it's still not done. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
We give them half that money.
Let
Like it.
let them
As soon as
get
parts
interest
get
on
in.
it for a year.
No, they're running on the county's money, basically. Let's get the parts ordered and get it, if we can get it here within a month and get here within 2 months and get it installed. Something reasonable. That was 9,400, this is 81.
This one's 12. That's all my chicken scratch on it.
What's that? I think we got a total of $18.
Well, that's what I thought too, but I've got numbers wrong. We got a 2-door edges for $9,436. You've got a soft start for $12,642, and then
So
What's
this
that
is-
one?
This one's 81.95.
That's if you combine, if you do both of those. My guess is that there's probably mobilization charges or whatever that you would save by
What's
doing
that?
both projects.
this one's 2-door edges, and it's $9,436.
Is that the infrared?
Seems to me that's the.
Infrared.
So we're looking at,
So if you do them
More like
separate, if you do
more like-
one and then do another,
like 30,000.
it's,
This one for, is that 12,642?
This one says door edges, and this one says
soft start,
That's the
door
motor.
edges, and then this is door edge and soft start.
So this is the
So
one that.
if you do
if you
just
do
the
both,
soft start, this is what they want. If you do just the door edges, this is what they want.
What's that?
If you do both of them together, then the price comes to this.
The 18,
Oh, okay,
right?
alright.
So if you do, yeah, that was the way it was explained to me. If you do just the soft start, Then you're looking
you go
at
to 12,
the 12,000, 12,600.
and then you have
If you
to
do
pay
just the
down.
door edges,
So they're giving you some money
so you're
off, you're getting a better deal.
getting a better deal if you do them both.
Have they identified any other
Issues.
No,
What is the interplay between the state inspector and these guys? Do these guys talk to the state inspector?
oh yeah. all the
They're the ones that are responsible for putting that little certificate in that little window?
Yep.
That's what Cone does, okay.
Well, no, the state inspector does that, but he comes once a year. He comes every month if there's issues like we had in the past.
So why is then, does he issue you a cert every year? State inspector?
Yeah.
How come that's cert's like 2021 still?
Oh, it should be updated. We should have new ones.
We should wait.
I mean, it depends on, there's still some money,
We
basically
gotta decide
everything,
this month.
everything has been pretty much earmarked. Not everything has been spent. And because it has to be earmarked by the end of this month, I don't know that it would be a bad idea to go ahead and approve another project just in case one of the ones that have already been approved.
Well, Nick was supposed to put in for a generator too, and he never put that in for the secondary road, wasn't it, generator?
I think they did, didn't they?
Well, I told him to stop down to your office in one of the previous meetings, and, cause he was here and he talked about, they paid for that.
It was like 18,000.
18,000.
I think that's included in that.
They paid for all of it, because he,
As long as we got it all earmarked.
We
No,
do
it's all right.
have, and we've actually earmarked about 20,000 more than what we have at this point. So my understanding was kind of the last one that was approved, we'll just get whatever's left, which would have been a South Rail Trail. But I don't know if it would be a bad idea to just have another project sitting on the table that's been approved in case something that's already, you
Can
know,
you do that legally?
well, you just wouldn't, you can approve it, you just wouldn't spend it.
And
Because I'm worried that you've got 2 years before that money can be spent.
why don't
What happens if,
Why don't we just put our application in for the elevators for $18,000? We'll approve it, then we'll have more approved than what we have
Right.
money.
but if something else
If the law
that's
says
already
we
been
have,
approved,
if the law says we have to have it approved by the end of December, we'll have
It has to.
projects approved by the end of December to.
Just so, and I'm glad that this can come up, are we absolutely sure that the money, earmarking it is sufficient?
that's what, yes.
Doesn't have to be money in hand to
No.
third party.
That's by December of 26.
Okay.
Everything has to be earmarked by December of 24.
Okay,
I have to identify the projects in their reports. There's a reporting
the
portal that I
ARPA
have to
thing,
go
okay,
into.
and we,
I have to identify the projects that we've approved, and then, annually, until 26, we have to show what's been spent on each of those projects.
so are there any projects, and I don't wanna get too outside the scope of
Yep.
this, are there any projects that like might fall through?
We do have some that is earmarked for like maintenance contracts on things, and I just kind of think, what happens if we
We're
change
screwed,
something in between
then
there?
we don't get the
Then
money.
we don't, then we've got money that we
My
haven't
point is,
earmarked.
here's a suggestion, okay, and I don't wanna get too far outside the scope of what we're here for. I think that we should reconvene at some point, take a look at what has all been earmarked,
Mhm.
look at that expenditure and see if that's something that has the possibility of falling through. Or not coming to fruition for whatever reason. Cause if it doesn't, we're done, we're toast, we lose the money.
We would have to return it.
We'd have to return it, so maybe we look at, if something like that exists, you look at an actual tangible thing, a generator, something that you can have in your hand where there's no, well, I hope that it, I hope we get to spend that money that we earmarked it for, right? I know one of those being like, the machine that Sheriff McClure has, right? You have that contract, that's not going anywhere. I mean, I can tell you that that's gonna happen for sure. I mean, unless Celebrate goes belly up, which is not gonna happen. I'm just saying, I don't know what sorts of,
Was there gonna be some cost sharing with that, maybe?
I don't know,
Possibly down the road.
possibly down the, yeah, at least,
Okay.
yeah. I think the idea is that we get people hooked on the drug and start charging for it.
I guess it's my thought, I would rather have more earmarked than what we anticipate spending in case something falls through.
When I came down and talked to you,
Mhm.
we got down there, at that time, we had a balance, that's without
Mhm.
any of, some of the expenditures that haven't been spent that are, but we had around 43,000 roughly as a balance, 43,381. Well, Nick's asked for 18,210, for secondary roads, and the Sauk Rail Trail asked for 73,000. Well, that's way beyond your 43,000.
Right.
So.
And just because you approve a project doesn't mean that
That
you're going to fully fund it.
That you're gonna fully fund anything, yes. But that's what I'm saying right now, I mean, with the Sauk Rail Trail, they wouldn't even be getting the money
How
that
about
they
if we-
want, plus we're
Right.
adding this elevator on there for another $18,000. I don't know how much.
How would we put on the agenda for next week a list of everything that we have out? We can discuss this and then maybe,
I'll email you what we've got for a
Okay.
worksheet too, that kind of
and then we can
shows.
discuss and just make sure we have dotted all
But
our
I
i's.
think we need to, I don't know who wants to fill that ARPA fund, or ARPA application out for the elevator, but I would go ahead and do that.
Dave, will you do that?
So we can get it, we'll approve it pending there's money left over. Or,
I mean, if we could,
In case something happens with any of the other projects.
when we talked,
I
I
don't
don't know that
anticipate that happening.
there
but-
was a ton of money that's sitting out there.
I don't
that
know,
hasn't been
if
spent.
there's not a ton of money sitting out there, I don't want something that's been earmarked to be like a hope and a wish.
The other
that it
question
happens.
that I have, that I've been trying to find out from a couple of other auditors, is the interest that we've earned on that account. My understanding was that interest can go back into our general fund, but if it can't, then there's about another 20,000 there that we have to.
Yeah, we need an answer to that too,
Yeah.
because if that's something that has to be
That's something I've been
spent.
trying to find out, and I haven't been able
But the
to.
thing
get
is, so then what do you do with the interest that's earned?
In that meantime?
Yeah, before we pay out these
Yeah.
earmarked projects.
December
Maybe we
30th,
use that for the elevator.
2026, you're gonna have to spend that interest. If that's
My
what
understanding
comes
was that it can go back into your general fund, but I wanna make sure that that's correct.
So-
And if that's correct, then I think with the Sauk Trail, what they're wanting, what Nick is wanting for the secondary roads, and if we put the elevator on there,
You know,
that's
that's
a-
20,000 in interest towards an ARPA project.
right, yeah.
Then we just need to figure out at
Right.
what point, or how that works.
In my mind, it should go towards an ARPA project, because
That's how the money was made.
Yeah, I think we're on track to have everything spent and not,
either next week or the 20th, probably next week, so the 10th, we could have that.
Okay.
Put that on the agenda for the 10th. I'm in favor of doing this.
I could touch base with
For both
her
of
on the timeframe
You
on
need a motion on that?
the repair
The
of
only
those
thing
two
that was
things.
on here was,
Yeah.
Do you wanna respond to her on
The
those?
agreement.
those
agreements?
questions.
I guess
are
that
in there,
depends
yeah.
on
Via email?
how you guys wanna,
Yeah, I'll copy you.
you
You
wanna
want us
table
to
the
go ahead and
agreement?
approve this?
We're gonna table that,
Well, I don't know if that was on the
Your
agenda for
questions?
today. Oh, they approved the contract?
the agreement,
It's an
yes.
agreement.
Let's get an answer to the agreement as it exists now.
Okay.
If we want, I would rather we get answers to those things you guys said, okay?
Contingent on the answers? Or just wait till we get it done?
I mean, we can wait another week,
Okay.
can you put it back on the agenda next week?
So table it at next week's agenda.
Right,
Cause we wanna know about the quarterly visits, and we wanna know if, for some ungodly reason, that the elevator needs to be changed completely, what happens to this
what's
contract?
covered, yeah, what happens?
I think
I
you
mean,
need to add a paragraph in there that makes that clear.
I can't
Well, and-
imagine that they would wanna stay in this contract.
I mean, if
They
like,
if we got a brand new elevator, I'm
They
guessing they
probably
wanna,
wanna bid it.
they'd wanna probably add more to the cost.
yeah, I mean, it's like you
On
take
their-
a Ford Escort to the
Right.
mechanic to fix, or you take a Ferrari or whatever, it's like there's gonna be different.
Even you're talking this older elevator, the newer elevator's probably got all kinds of newer components in
Absolutely.
it.
More
which
things they
they're-
have to inspect, right? I mean,
I can't imagine they'd wanna stay in the same contract for 10 years, we gotta change it.
but on the other hand, if they want to and they're good with it, they'll say, yeah, we cover whatever elevator you install. And-
That might not be such a bad deal either.
But we better find out.
Let's
when
get an
it's
answer.
You might wanna be included in that they'll cover whatever.
Say it again.
You'd want that in the contract, that they would cover whatever.
Absolutely, yeah. That's, yeah.
You just say it's fine,
I read that thing every day and I'm just waiting for the quick descent back down
Sorry, I wrote all
the
that.
carnival ride.
Hopefully I'm not.
We need a
We'll
motion
print more
to-
copies.
That'd be nice.
Table that?
That'd be nice.
I don't know, not to table it, no.
What?
We'll just table it, we'll put it on the agenda for next week.
Okay, thanks.
And then you wanna put on the agenda too, just a general discussion about, okay?
ARPA
Yeah.
projects,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
And you will fill out one of those ARPA forms.
Yep.
And just give it to Renee, and then we have that. Cause then she can just add it to that list.
Can we ask him how long does it take to get that part in?
I
That was
was
part
gonna,
of
I
it.
was gonna give her a call. and find that out.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Do that,
Thanks,
Mike.
man.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thanks, Dave.
Anything else?
That's a really long discussion about the elevator.
It kind of veered off into the ARPA funds too, which was going to need to happen.
I'm sorry I brought that up, but sitting here, it reminded me.
No, I'm glad that we got that covered, because it's something we need to have
Yeah.
figured out by
We
the
have
end
to
of
get
the month,
that
so.
taken care of. There's no
I don't
other
have
business, I'll
anything
move we adjourn.
Second.
Been a motion, second to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye.